Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another session of the Launch and Learn series. I am Praise Benson, a junior digital marketing executive here at Futuresoft. Launch and Learn is a bi-weekly program where each staff gets to train people on topics relating to our industry. Today is your first time joining us. You're welcome. Today, David Woruka, our lead branding and design, will be facilitating today's session on the topic brand communication in 2024, co-creating with AI. As the session goes on, kindly drop them in the chat and they will be addressed by David after his presentation. Thank you for your cooperation. Over to you, David.
Okay, so welcome once again. And thank you, Praise, for the introduction. So I'll be looking at brand communication in 2024 and how you can leverage AI, in your brand communication. So that's the whole idea of the topic today, brand communication in 2024 or creating with AI. So the session overview, basically, I'll start with a brief introduction. And then I would also look at the current landscape of brand communication. I will look at the role AI plays in brand communication, how you can also, eventually co-create to AI, the steps you can take. And then we'll also explore some AI tools as well when doing that. And then I'll look at some ethical legal challenges, unethical and legal challenges AI poses when you're using it for your brand communication. And then we look at what the future holds for AI and the opportunities available. And then we conclude. So I would start with a quote from John Lasseter. So it says, the art challenges the technology and the technology inspires the art. So I've put this here because this is coming from a director and animator, so someone who is a creator. And the worries most marketing professionals do have, and not just even marketing professionals, but a lot of individuals, it's the fear of the fact that, we get to a point where artificial intelligence will eventually overrun, human creativity and also even reduce the relevance of certain fields. But the idea, when he said this was the fact that he's saying, we've challenged the technology by our imaginations, by, the things we can imagine as individuals, the ability of the quality of art we can create. And it has pushed technology to the point where it is. So he wasn't saying this with reference to AI, but the idea is we push the technology to what it is today. But in reality, why we keep pushing the technology helps us to inspire the art. So it's for us to important that we're still in control. And the more we push, the bounds in terms of how innovative we can be, the more we have technology that can also enhance us to create the magic we want to see. So basically, I would be looking at in this session the overview of brand communication. So basically, it's a strategic process of a brand conveying its messages, identity, and offerings to its target audience. So it involves every aspect of advertising, marketing campaigns, public relations, social media communication, customer service interactions, and more. So every touch point, basically, a brand leverages to ensure that it sells its offerings, values, messages to its customers. That's the brand basically communicating. And then in 2024, brand communication is very important. And that's because technology keeps evolving. Some of the tools we use today, we didn't use them even just 5 years ago. Some of the platforms we have access to right now, we didn't have access to them just a few years ago. And with this evolving technology also comes with changing consumer behavior. And then, society trends as well. When you have newer generation, societal trends changes. For instance, the trend in terms of style of dressing then was, everything baggy, the jeans, the t-shirts and all. But over time, trends in terms of fashion has changed, urban fashion has changed in that direction, and it's now fitted and all. So it's important as well for each and every one of us to understand, that as these changes keep happening, it also affects, how you communicate as a brand. So you have to constantly stay alert to observe the changing consumer behavior in societal trend, and then also in technology. And there are other aspects as well in terms of maybe the political, environmental change, but in this case, I think the focus will be on this trip for now, but then it's important to understand that, brand communication right now is not just a business function. It's important for you to stay, growing as an organization or as a business. It's very important. It's not something you can override. So let's look at what the current, landscape of brand communication is in 2024. So I've talked about, how technology is improving, with the world right now is basically digitally driven. Get and I've just explained, how societal trends eventually has changed, consumer behaviors are changing because of advancements in technology and so on. And that in turn as well is also reflected, in how they engage. And one of those ways is, the increase for personalized experience, and then brands are navigating this landscape right now with a lot of consciousness, because, with these changes, you have to adapt, to fit into where you find yourself today, to fit in effectively, or else you'll be kicked out. So, and brands that can actually understand how to navigate this, current situation where we find ourselves, where things are moving very fast paced, we are connected. You can find yourself today in Nigeria and you're connected to what's happening in India. You can find yourself, somewhere in the Caribbean and you're very in tune with the culture in Nigeria. If you understand how to leverage these technological changes as a brand, then you can eventually connect with your target audience effectively. So I would look into some factors that are really playing, some key role in how brand communication is being changed or how it's being influenced in today's world. So one is the digital dominance, with the consistent growth and widespread of digital channels and platforms. Brand communication, first of all, is primarily online. We have from social media, email marketing, websites, there are numerous avenues brand can, communicate online. And like I've given an example, you find yourself in one place in the world and eventually you have access to communicate with people basically globally, and for you to understand the rapid growth of, the internet or the digital communication, as of Q1 2023, the number of internet, subscribers in Nigeria stood at 150, million plus, according to the National Bureau of Statistics Nigeria. And then, so if you argue with these statistics, if you feel maybe these statistics is a bit too high, I personally don't think it will be less than maybe 120 million, but this is most likely the case. So but that shows, the level at which people are becoming, more digitally, inclined. So one other trend of shaping branding, brand communication right now as well is personalization. So brands are currently leveraging your customer data analytics to personalize your communication efforts. I'll give a common example in which we all know, and sometimes we actually frustrated by it. You visit Jumia right now, and then you tap on the smartphone, and in the next 1 week, when you Google something, when you are on Instagram, ads regarding, smartphones are consistently then tailored to you. That's what personalization, is. But that's just one type of specialized personalization. There are a whole lot of that, but that's happening because people also want to engage with things they're interested in. People don't want to engage with things that don't concern them. And according to Smart Insider, brands are not employing adequate personalization tactics, risk losing 62% of their consumer base. So that shows you to the extent in which, this is important as well. Another aspect of brand communication as well in today's world is content marketing. We all know the familiar statement, content is king. Content marketing plays a central role in brand communication at this point in time because it helps brands to create valuable and relevant content that engage their audience, and help them build trust and credibility over time. Example of a very good content marketing strategy could be like a webinar of this sort we're offering, where we spend our time to actually, inspire and teach, about our professions as industry leaders, so, and that's very key right now. And both when it comes to B2B marketing and B2C marketing, according to the New York Times licensing group, both 73% of B2B marketing find it that it make it overall like of the marketing strategy, why 70% of B2C market professionals do the same as well. And then also a key role or a key player in content marketing right now is your ability to tell stories with your visuals. So visual storytelling is actually also very central in content marketing at this point in time as well, because visual content, including images, videos, infographics, they convey, more captivating, and messages, and they hold down the audience, even better than just text alone. Then also you have interactive experiences. Brands too are currently incorporating this, where they post content like quizzes, polls, and interactive ads, and these encourage, active involvement from the audience. And when you use interactive content as well, it also enhances, how your brand communicates, but this is some of the trends we're seeing lately, and also 81% of marketers believe that the interactive content is more attention grabbing than static content. And then for each of these aspects of marketing, each of these elements I've stated are currently shaping the landscape of brand communication right now. I also have case studies as well that I'll be showcasing shortly that actually highlights, how brands have actually leveraged this. So you understand it's not just about saying it, there are actually ways you can leverage it and use it for your own brand as well. And then basically, this landscape right now is characterized by digitization, personalization, and storytelling and interactivity. So these are like the four key things I want to highlight in this session. And then I will throw more light into this in the following slides while showcasing case studies of how brands have been able to leverage, these aspects, shaping the current landscape of communication, to actually advance their growth. And then one of the ways you can leverage digitization, personalization, storytelling very well is through the help of AI. And when you can leverage AI for your brand communication, it's more effective and it actually has a lot of benefit it poses to you. So AI, or artificial intelligence, basically refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to mimic, cognitive functions such as problem solving, decision making, and learning. So it's basically programming a machine or a software, that can actually perform human tasks. It can actually learn. It can actually solve problems. It can actually make logical decisions based on the data imputed in it. So that's basically the summary of what artificial intelligence is. And then some of these applications, in terms of how you use artificial intelligence in brand communication is in chatbots and virtual assistants, personalization and recommendation engines, copy and content generation, image and video generation, and then also image recognition. So when you talk about chatbots and virtual assistants, there's also the part of voice recognition there. And then there's also an aspect in general to where you can leverage image recognition independently, and then we're going to be seeing a few case studies where this has been actually harnessed properly. So first, when you talk about chatbots and virtual assistants, they're basically, like a chat platforms used for conversational marketing or customer support for the most part of it, where you can actually, type in your inquiry as a customer, and then, you get a response based on the service you're inquiring about. And most often the responses, when you're using chatbot, are already pre-organized in a way where the bot can actually recognize your inquiry and actually place information based on your inquiry. And then in some cases, you eventually redirect it to an agent, an agent that is specific to the inquiry in which you're making. And this is actually changing how brands are communicating, with their customers. And it's actually revolutionizing how that, realm work. And according to WebFX, this is from last year, that 90% of marketers in 35 countries used AI tools to automate customer interactions. So that shows you the effectiveness, of leveraging chatbots, that are AI powered for your marketing efforts. And then one good example I would want to give in this case is Axis Bank. Axis Bank is a bank based in India, and they've currently incorporated, Alexa into their customer service. So if you use the bank app, you can actually, activate it and link it to your Alexa device where there are certain customer inquiry, you can actually leverage it for, like checking your account balance, away from checking your account balance. I think they also have, things like making, transfer details, also connecting with the customer care and so on. So they have a few features they've incorporated to that where rather than always maybe using your device, you can just speak to Alexa and then it responds and it gives you details, so you have that hands-free technology they're already leveraging. And then also, if you visit the Axis Bank website, you go to axisbank.com, you also find out that the chatbot on the website as well also has a voice function. So if you're on the go, for instance, and you need, let's say an inquiry and you don't have the opportunity to type or you're busy, you can easily just, tap the voice option and then you make an inquiry about what you need and then it picks it up. So why I saw it, I didn't just want to assume that it's all rosy and it's just going to work as it is. So I had to give it a try myself, and then it actually worked effectively. And it was actually an amazing experience. And that's also going to enhance, the effectiveness of the way the brand communicates itself. And for such functions, like voice and all, it also helps the brand in terms of how inclusive it becomes. Because when you have situation of, customers that maybe have issues with mobility, leveraging voice actually helps them feel more connected to the bank. And that's one way, AI is actually revolutionizing chatbot. And that's one way you can actually integrate it into your marketing, into your brand communication. So one other aspect as well, AI can be effectively leveraged as well is also in, the application of it in also personalization and recommendation, like I've pointed out, so business is basically, use customer data, to actually analyze, your preferences and easy to personalize your marketing messages, your product recommendations, and how they deliver content to you, and based on those individual preferences, they deliver content that will actually resonate with you. And that also enhances the engagement of the brand, and it ends up delivering effective satisfaction as well. But the core effects also that 88% of marketers working with AI said that technology has helped them personalize the customer journey across different channels. And the truth is this, when it comes to personalization, without the assistance of AI, it's basically impossible, because you would have to do the work of 1,000 people and it may not be effective and may be too cost intensive as well. And it may not be effective in terms of the outcome. And a perfect example for that would be in the case of Cadbury. So Cadbury India, sometime in October 2021, just when they were coming, when everyone globally was basically trying to recover from the COVID, so there's a common festival in India called Diwali Festival. And that festival, it's a general celebration, and it can't be trying to throw light, or trying to put smile or give people a happy celebration. They ran a campaign that was going to just be beyond, the brand Cadbury, but was going to be a campaign that will be, that will be more encompassing. So they use the popular Bollywood actor Shah Khan. I'm sure most of us might recognize him, and they created an ad where they used machine learning to generate multiple versions of the same ad. Now, how did this ad work eventually? The ad worked in a situation where, he stood in front of a mirror and he was like, oh, well, this is Diwali. You too. Okay, he started by saying, don't I look like a superhero? And then you too can shop from Fashion Nova Emporium for your Diwali celebration. You can shop your clothes from Fashion Nova Emporium for your Diwali celebration. And then there are several takes in the ad. So, and towards the ending, it was like, it's Diwali and even our small businesses deserve a happy celebration to patronize them. But then that was the original Cadbury ad. And when they moved from that version, they created a cut out version where, the part where he talked about Fashion Nova Emporium, they created an opportunity for you as a user and for small businesses to then impute, your business category and the location of your shop. And then you had to indicate, your PIN code, your location PIN code, so that when they are running the ads, when Cadbury is running the ad, the ad, the algorithm actually picks up your location based on your location for the businesses, that has actually been imputed into the system. It picks up the location, and then the ad that is being served to you as an individual becomes the ad that actually talks about the small businesses in your location. And with machine learning, it then comes from the Bollywood actor himself. So it became a case where he was the influencer for small businesses that couldn't afford him. And the ad it went viral in India. Currently on YouTube, the ad has 31 million views. There were 130,000 subversions of the ad created by small businesses. You could also use it to promote your own business if it's one that is actually, if you have actually created yours. So what that helped was also like it first, the aspect of personalization in terms of marketing to the point where you can actually run a single ad, but then it tailors, based on the location to the businesses surrounding it, and these data are already imputed in a single point. So imagine doing this where he has to maybe take multiple takes where you send, oh, okay, for this location, do this, then the actor has multiple takes of the same ads. Imagine doing over 130,000 of it. It's not feasible. Apart from the fact that it's not feasible, imagine running over 130,000 ads. So how do you even figure out where to target, But this is one thing AI can actually do. So with one ad, you can actually reach out to multiple businesses at the same time while serving the same ad. And that was actually revolutionary for them because, it got a lot of positive comments. They got good PR for it. And then it also empowered like, people within the country in which, this ad was being run, which was India. I also got the customer stocking. Now, it is positive on one aspect because when it had meaning to it, it wasn't just a campaign stunt, it wasn't just a PR, it added value to businesses. So it's actually, it actually moves the marketing into that point where it actually brings even more meaning to you as a human. And it actually also eventually rippled back to Cadbury as a business. And of course, they saw spike in growth in terms of social media engagement and even in terms of revenue. So you can maybe check the Not Just a Cadbury ad campaign to read more about that. And Virgin Voyages as well did a similar campaign sometime last year. But in this case, it was to send custom messages, but with machine learning, they leveraged the popular artist Jennifer Lopez. And she, in that case, when you say your custom message, then the avatar, that's being cloned by the machine learning algorithm, delivers the message with her voice, with her gesture, and all of that. And then when this is sent to the user, so you can imagine receiving a message without being familiar, that this, and then by the time you're clicking on it, it's Jennifer Lopez calling your name, inviting you to a Virgin Voyage. Just imagine how amazing that would be and how intriguing it would be. And those are some of the things, AI can actually do. That's the power of AI, when it comes to personalization. And this is personalization at a higher level, at a different level altogether. And that just shows you, how AI can actually be impactful and how it can actually enhance communication. Then also, when it comes to content, and copy, most of us are already familiar with ChatGPT. What it can do, but there are a lot of other content, tools or copy tools that actually has, way more diverse function that will help you when delivering content. And I will analyze those in a bit, so, but AI basically can help you generate articles, social media posts, product descriptions. You put in your prompts, like in case of ChatGPT, you put in your prompts and it gives you feedback. But you have a lot of other tools that can even do way more functions. Some of them can actually do SEO checks, and even some can actually do SEO optimization, and that's still being tested in some cases. But I'll analyze that those in details shortly. But that's one thing as well. AI can actually also leverage. And then in this case, we saw how in this case McDonald's and Burger King use it in a different light altogether, and which is one of the benefits of AI. It actually sparks a different level of creativity. Where and this was in Brazil. So they prompted ChatGPT, so what's the most iconic burger in the world? And ChatGPT prompted a Big Mac. And just to be sure that this wasn't just a joke, So yesterday actually prompted, I actually put in the same prompt in ChatGPT, and amazingly, it gave the Big Mac, as the most iconic burger in the world. And then Burger King, after McDonald's released their own ad, had to respond in less than 24 hours. And when they responded, they asked which is the biggest burger, and he talked about the Whopper and all. And they use this, I guess this was done, within that pause of Chat GPT, but they use this actually in some creative ways. But why am I pointing this out is, so imagine as a brand, when you put a prompt, what's the most iconic burger in the world, and the first thing Chat GPT points out is your brand. So imagine the flex this is, permit me to use that word, it is for McDonald's, and that's why they actually leveraged on it. You get, but then if they are not leveraging AI, for instance, in terms of their communication, this is not something they would have been able to anchor on. This is not something both brands would have been able to play on, if they were not leveraging that technology, but if your brand is not yet iconic as this, it doesn't mean there are still other ways you can leverage it. You don't have to, use it at this level, but the major point is, this is the ability of these tools right now. And, that's how they're actually changing and revolutionizing how communication is, and then also, another aspect is image and video generation. So with AI as well, you can create, like a vast amount of quality videos, images, you can do editing tasks, you can cut and trim videos, generate animations, visual effects without having, exceptional skills in those areas. So one of the ones we are all going crazy over in-house is the Super Eagles posts or the AFCON posts in general from DSTV Nigeria. So these ones I've actually handcrafted. There were several more on their Instagram, so you can check DSTV Nigeria later to view them. But one thing I want to point about these designs, the ones they have spotlighted here, is the fact that for you to create this with manual or the traditional 3D devices, the amount of time it will take, for an artist to sit down, to first of all, do these sketches, and then for it to be extruded and rendered at this level. I mean, it's not just going to be very effective marketing. It's going to take a lot more time, a lot more coordination, a lot more thinking, and it can be spontaneous as well, given the fact that the outcome was on the go. It can't even be as spontaneous, as they were with how they were engaging with this content. But with the help of AI, in a few seconds, you can actually explore, multiple options, of your 3D render, and you can actually get amazing results. And I also explore some tools you can use to generate ideas like this. And then also last year, Adobe conducted a survey amongst 1,000 creative professionals in the United States, and 46% out of them say they feel AI will actually help them create higher quality of work. And that's the truth. I just talk about how spontaneous this was, how it actually delivers, a more faster experience. And you can make edits and tweak with a prompt. If you have an image, you can actually build up on it, and keep building up on it. And then if you're a professional designer, you can still go down to make manual edits to it as well. And that can actually enhance how your productivity, eventually becomes. And then the last one I want to talk about in terms of the application is face recognition. Also, let me just dive straight into this example. So I kind of feel this is a technology that we may not see right now in terms of how widespread it is, but we already have facial recognition for mobile devices. So it's important for you to note that that's already in place, you know. But in terms of taking it to the level where, KFC China is already doing it, that's something we're going to start seeing more of as, the usage of AI unveils more in terms of marketing. They have this experience center inside one of the branches where, you stand in front of the screen, everything is written in Chinese. But when I read through the full, you stand in front of the screen your gender accurately, guess your age, but maybe not so accurately yet for that, but then based on maybe your facial structures, it should be able to tell the kind of when it guesses your age, then it recommends a still, of course, obviously, this is still in beta testing, but that's just an effort or a glimpse into what the future will be when you leverage AI, facial recognition for marketing. It shows, rather than having cases of drive-throughs, we're going to have more of this. And in turn, we might even have, robots on the other hand, actually making your pizzas, cooking your food, based on the recipes that has already been inputted, and even creating new recipes. We might eventually start seeing that as well in the future. But those might be in the long shot, but this is one thing that I'm sure we are going to see more of as well in the future when it comes to AI. And I'll talk a bit about that later on in the training. So basically, how can you co-create with AI? So we've seen how you can use it for, several aspects to communicate with your brand. How can you eventually leverage it, for yourself? So the first thing I want to point out is there are several things you can do with AI. The first thing you need to point out, you understand is, you need to understand why you want to use it. You have to define your goals and identify use cases, you know. So you have to determine like specific objectives and goals for brand communication. Where can AI add value? So it's not just about leveraging it. Oh, okay, DSTV used it. Oh, it was crazy. They got engagement, but then maybe a B2B brand, you may not be needing, that 3D, kind of tool. You may not be needing that, maybe the audience you're talking to, you might not be needing to do something so wild. There are AI tools that can help you create more or less real-time image. Your issue, as a brand might be the fact that you might not even be, spotlighting, the diversity in terms of gender and ethnicity as much as you should, in terms of your imagery. So instead of you thinking about, oh, it was crazy, can we start coming up with those kind of concepts? You should rather look into that, how we're even really spotlighting, reflecting, a balance in terms of the imagery used, in terms of gender, in terms of the ethnicity. So those are some of the things you look at. Also look at the fact that, I mean, is our customer service trash? It's not a situation where we start doing, this whole crazy stuff. And then when you go to the comments, I've seen cases like that where you go to the comments of this of the channel of the brand, and then the comments are just horrible about, not responding promptly, not responding promptly. And when that is a major issue where people are already coming to your social media to talk about it, your concern at that point should not be how you start, creating, fun graphics on your social media, because that will not resonate with your users. You see, so you have to understand that at that point in time, your key problem is customer support, and then you have to look into your customer support if you don't have the capacity of start expected. So you have to start thinking of how to use, chatbots, and virtual assistants in such cases. because that's what will resonate more. So you have to be sure about where AI is going to add value, not just bringing it because it's cool. Because if you bring it because it's cool, then it's going to be more chaos for you. But whereas when you understand where it's going to add value, then it's going to actually bring value to your business. So I talked about, so first you have to understand your audience preferences. So you gather and analyze data about your audience interests, behaviors, and communication preferences as well. So I talked about being able to like listen, social listening, and the first easy way to do that is looking through your comments. You don't need so much yet, at that basic level. Look through your comments. What are people saying? So if people are always complaining about, you don't respond to calls, you don't respond to calls, you don't respond to messages, the numbers on your profile are not connecting, things like that. So you have to pay that. So that's where you start from. And I talked about you can easily do customer survey. When you interact with your customers, you ask them questions, and then they will understand. You get an insight into what they really need and what's important to them. And then you can integrate your solutions based on that. I also talked about selecting the appropriate AI tool. So it's important. You don't just do things because it's cool. It's not a joke. So if you're in retail, for instance, you should be thinking of first, your machine learning algorithm, for a particular user that is registered on your platform, what is their shopping habits? What are the things are they paying attention to more, first of all? So that by the time they are coming back next time, you already have that data, and then you're using that data to actually tailor your marketing to them. And we'll talk more about data, when it comes to data security and data privacy, we'll talk a bit about that as well. So you have to look into things like that. And then if your issue is customer support, of course, you have to ensure that you're integrating chatbot, not just, on your website, but across your social media platforms as well. You're leveraging that. And then also, if you need a generative AI platform as well, you can also do that. So, but it's important to select the right AI tool. Very important. Then also, of course, when you integrate an AI tool, you have to monitor your performance. So you don't just integrate and you walk away, it's done. No, you have to monitor your performance. You get. So you have to be sure that your response time, in the case of a chatbot, is actually working in the light in which it's solving the problem of your users. If it's not, then you have to look into that again. Your engagement rate on social media, if it's a case of content delivery, is this really effective? Is it resonating with the users? Or they're finding it boring, or they're finding it disturbing, and also how is this also helping your conversation as well? So you have to pay attention to these things. And then that's where you iterate and optimize. So based on the feedback, based on the performance as well of these things, and based on the feedback from the user, then you know how to optimize your models and know how to effectively, optimize it to create, a more structured and relevant and build relevance over time. Then also be ethical and transparent, and that's very important. So don't, when it comes to data, I think that's where a lot of brands, play when it comes to data. We've had issues over the years with brands misusing the data of their customer, and laws being passed around the world for data protection and all. And it's still an issue at the moment, but a lot of governments are putting things in place and regulatory bodies to ensure that that is being tackled. But be ethical and transparent. You get. So avoid, any deceptive or manipulative practices, and be transparent about the use of AI in your communication to build trust with your audience. So that's very important. Then I'll say bring in the human touch. You get. So don't just go and type something on ChatGPT, for instance. I'm using that because it's more common with us, and then it generates something, then you just put it out there. No, I mean, because sometimes ChatGPT on the other hand can just go on and on about something without really saying anything, and then imagine you just putting those kind of things out where it is going on and on, going in circles, and it has not said anything, and then people are constantly, maybe coming across these things. It will start affecting you as a brand. So it's important, first of all, to ensure that, it's the human, that is actually both inspiring the technology in this case by the kind of prompts they are putting, and also allowing the technology to inspire them in terms of how they are structuring it to align with the values of the brand. That's not going against the brand values, it's not going against your communication style, and even there are other tools in AI that still helps you ensure that you guide these processes, for plagiarism, and also for, to maintain consistency in terms of your brand voice as well. Then, of course, they are updated with AI advancements. So if you want to use AI, you may need to start using AI. I can assure you, you can't go back, because it becomes sort of an addiction, So, and then, so I'm saying this because I think it's easier to keep in touch, but stay updated with the technology, ensure you know what's trending, ensure you know what's on, what's the new advancement, so that you can constantly update. So I want to first of all look into some AI tools for videos. So I've listed three here. So I've listed Runway ML, and I think you should check some of these out. And I've listed HeyGen. So HeyGen is mostly paid, and I was only able to use it to create just one video. So it's mostly paid, and you just have one credit to create one video, but it has a lot of function. And then there's Runway ML. So, but I think Runway ML has a lot of credits, for the free version that you could use to explore a lot of ideas if you wish to. Then there's Sora. Sora is by OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, but Sora is still in beta testing. Aside of still checked Sora on Saturday, it's still in beta testing, so it's not open for everybody yet. But there are sample videos like this one on the left, that were generated by Sora. So the bed you're seeing on the left does not exist anywhere in the world. This particular bed, is not a real bed. It's a bed completely generated by the power of AI, and that's what Sora does. And then if you maybe have it out to feel these are videos they've put out, maybe this may not be a reflection of the effectiveness of the tool. This is not from Sora. This is from Runway ML. So why the prompt may not be exactly reflective of the details I've put in, because I was hoping for a Su-35 jet, Su-57 sorry jet in this image, but it's showing a different, more or less like an F-system, but this video is just a prompt I put in on, Runway ML, and it generated this video for me. Now why I feel this is still also a developing aspect of AI. It's going to be the future. We are going to start having this, and it's going to be common because a lot of stock platforms are already including generative AI on their platforms as well. And then one other feature Runway ML has is it transforms images as well into video. So the video I have below here that I just played right now is actually an image. It's a static image from FreePic, but then I put it down to Sora. Then I added some prompt on some of the features I wanted to see, on the image. So what you could see, like the thumbnail, is what the image originally looks like, though I cropped it to the size, then putting in some prompts in terms of how I wanted the light to flash, some of the effects I wanted around it, it came to life as a video. So that's one feature, Runway ML has. So when Sora comes into full usage, I don't know the incredible features they are going to put in terms of how you leverage images, so, but these are tools right now you can already explore and use it. And then also, I think Runway M also has a session where you can just paint over a section of an image and it brings it to life. And these are some of the features you can use for your brand communication. If you have an image, of maybe nature of some simple things at the moment and you want to bring them to life, incorporate them into your videos, you can easily leverage that. Then I want to talk about HeyGen. So HeyGen is one of the crazy ones out there now. So I don't know if this will pick, the audio from the device, but let me play, and then after I play it, you can let me know if you heard the audio, or if that's not the case, can let go of that. But just let me know if you can hear the audio when I play this video. So could everyone hear the video, the audio of the video? Is anyone with me?
We couldn't hear.
Okay, so I don't think it could pick the video. So, but the whole idea, so maybe for those of us internally, I would maybe share the video on the group. So but the idea behind that is it actually translated what I said. I said something in English, and then I was able to translate it, into a different language altogether, and I could see a lot of those features, being useful in the future. And I've seen other content creators that has actually used it where they were speaking in English and then they cut into the process, how they used a agent to convert, their their words into Spanish or into German or into you know, Japanese or something, So it currently has about 31 languages available on the platform. And then I could, after creating a video like this, I could actually pick one of those languages. And then it clones my voice and clones, my video and translates everything I say into the language I will choose. And then, it mimics it so much where you actually think I'm speaking the language. And then imagine how this can actually be eventually relevant, for marketing. You can create one video and without having to translate, manually or doing voiceover, you can just use an AI tool to do it across for several audiences you want to target. So that's one tool that's going to be helpful. Just they also have features as well, like features that also covers, using already installed avatar where you put in your script, then the avatars, just depict your video. And some organizations are already using that for their tutorials as well, or for their like learning or explanation videos. So I think these are some of the tools you can check out. So you can check out Runway ML, you can check out Agent, to see how you can leverage them for your video. Then when it comes to image, so when it comes to image, so I've listed 3 here. So I have Microsoft Designer, which is powered by OpenAI DALL-E E3, and then I have the free pick AI, and then there's Lexico. So these are just straightforward, So for each of them, you can see the prompt I've put in to actually get the, the quality of image I got. So for that of the Microsoft Designer, you can see how straightforward the prompt is. Create an image of a milk-colored, fluffy, high-tops Nike sneakers, and that's what I got. And this looks like it was actually photographed or 100% AI generated. And then for the middle version, that's from FreePick AI. You see, I said voice assistant, AI device. And this is what I got, clear definition. This looks like also a real image, and it isn't, So, but one thing, especially for FreePick AI, you can actually, change the style. If you want it to be in 3D or to be in cartoon, change light, the lighting, you can also indicate all of that. And then when you put in your prompt, it generates along that line, and then you can also check that out. So it has, about 4,000 credits. And I think that, I don't even think that's even per month. I think that refreshes just about per day. But even if it's for a month, 4,000 prompts for a month is a lot, So I think that's something you can also leverage for free pick, especially when you have premium access. Then for Lexica actually does a lot of 3D style design, and I just simply type Coca-Cola Christmas. Give me, 4 options, but this is one of the ones that I like the most. But Lexica does a lot of high quality imagery. So you can explore any of these 3. You can explore any of these 3 for your communication. So you can go to Microsoft Designer, just create a Microsoft account, go to designer.com, designer.microsoft.com, and it will actually open this for you, and then you can just create a Microsoft account if you don't have one. Or if you have a Microsoft account, you can have access to it for free. The other version of it is the DALL-E E2. DALL-E E2 is open to everybody, but there's limited credit for everyone. But the DALL-E E3, it's more powerful than DALL-E E2, and the DALL-E E3 on its own is not available for free. I think it's integrated with both ChatGPT 4, and they are not available for free. So, but you can access the qualities of DALL-E E3 from designer.microsoft.club. But if you're using a free account, I think there must always be attribution when it comes to free pick licenses. So ensure you attribute, free pick. But then if you have a premium account, then you have a lot of access to free pick details. So when it comes to copy and content generation, I've also listed 3 here. and that's Right Sonic, Copy AI, and Copilot by Microsoft. So Right Sonic has a lot of amazing features. So I'll just list the features. I don't want to spend so much time again, but you can just check these three tools: Copilot, by Microsoft, Copy.ai, and Right Sonic. So all three of them. So Copilot basically is just like ChatGPT, and it's the ChatGPT for the latest version of it. And all three has that prompt where you can type in for details and it gives you an information based on your prompt. They all have that, but here's where they become different. So for Right Sonic, it has more or less like a text prompt as well for image generation, like the examples I just showed above. So it's a tool within the Right Sonic feature that is called Photosonic. For now, it's still embedded together. They might have interest in the future to separate them. And then it also has Audio Sonic where you can put in text and select a voiceover art or a voiceover avatar or a specific avatar that you created, and then it just reads out your text. And it's also amazing because you can change the voice. And the ones I tried were so clear, like it sounded like a recorded voiceover. It didn't, have those robot kind of voices that you immediately pick out. It sounds like an audiobook someone has actually recorded, and it's amazing. So they also have a AI text editor, so just like the way you have Grammarly, something similar to Grammarly. And then they also have a personalized brand voice, where you can actually copy and paste a sample of your writing style, and then it starts mimicking it over time. And then you put more of that to ensure that it aligns. It also has an SEO checker and an SEO optimizer. So for the SEO checker, you can actually, check your SEO score. If you write an article, you can use it to check your SEO score. Then if your SEO score is bad, you can click on the optimizer to update it, and then it shows you put in the keywords, and then it shows you, maybe the key phrases and the keywords you need to put in. And then if you click the optimizer, it optimizes the article for you, where it adds those keywords and key phrases. The only thing is at the moment it's still in beta testing, so it may not be effective, but this again gives a glimpse into what the future holds when using tools like this. Then for Copy.ai, so it has personalized brand voice as well. Then it also has content reference. That's one thing ChatGPT doesn't have, where when you put in details, it just gives you the information based on its data input. But Copy.ai gives you web references you can actually look through to read more details about that stuff. So you don't just get an information that is abstract, and then you can actually back it up with facts. Then it also has something called workflows. Workflows, I can't go into details with it, but workflows is a predefined template that helps you perform a lot of tasks, a lot of writing tasks. If you want to maybe put things like proposals in place, you want to see how you set up a content for an entire week, how to figure out like your content triggers to keep it for it to help you search the web. There are templates and where you input those details. So you can look at Copy.ai. It has a lot of features as well. If you want to do posts, for social media, it has templates that helps you do that. When it comes to post templates as well, right? Sonic also has templates for that. Then when it comes to Copilot, the advantage of it is it uses GPT-4, and then also it searches the webs and gives you reference for the content, and then adds tailored to the subjects you're talking about, also reflect. And I think that's a very good way Microsoft is leveraging their ads as well. So when you put in a prompt about something, it tailors ads as well to you, concerning that stuff. So I think it also gives you more access to research even in details. So I think these are three tools that will be very helpful when it comes to copy and content generation, and then you can look them up individually. So some of the benefits of leveraging AI into your workflow. So one is increased efficiency. AI can automate tasks, repetitive tasks, and you can free your time to focus on more strategic efficiency. AI can also help you save costs, there are initial investments, but I've talked about examples where, you create one ad, Cadbury created one ad and then they had 130,000 or over 130,000 versions of the same ad. You can't do that without AI. It's going to be too cost intensive. And then imagine the reach and the outcome eventually. It also enhances creativity, because also the Gen AI, that of the case of chatbot ChatGPT by McDonald, it became funny, because Burger King eventually responded, and then Subway as well also joined the trend. So that's another thing as well. It enhances the creativity as well, and then also it gives you a competitive advantage. For banks like for brands like Access Bank that has leveraged virtual assistants. So imagine where you're already solving issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. By leveraging virtual assistants, and this is something when the brand should start also thinking about, because like I said, it's not just about being cool, but it also gives you competitive edge as well over your customers. Then I talked about being inclusive and accessibility. You know, people with mobilities, people with mobility impairments can actually use hand-free, prompts. They can speak to your customer service because they can get inquiries from your services, get customer support, inquire by using voice recognition and even image recognition. So they can, if they can't type, they can do certain things, but they can speak. This also helps, and AI can actually help you, leverage that effectively. So at the end of the day, it's not just like I've said, don't use it because it's fun. Use it strategically to drive your growth for your business and for your business to actually, generate value. So what are some of the key, maybe ethical challenges, brands can actually face when using AI? Some of it actually, is about, privacy and data protection. I talked about how brands, sometimes can abuse this, and there's been several cases of that, with some of the big tech companies, but it's important for you to ensure that your data usage is in compliance with the data regulations available within your country and territory. For us in Nigeria, I think they used to have the NDPR, but I think it's currently being replaced, or say more or less like an updated version, which is the Nigeria Data Protection Act. So you have to look into this to be sure that your brand communication and your brand solutions actually are in compliance with this, because you could run into serious problems, serious legal issues. If you don't protect the privacy and data of your customers, if you use it for manipulative purposes as well, once you're caught, it's going to be a serious issue. We've had the likes of Facebook and some other big corporations pay fines in hundreds of millions, and it's crazy, and that could actually bankrupt you if you're not, a corporation that can actually shield, that kind of shock. So it's important you understand that as well. So I talked about as well transparency and accountability. There's no need to be deceptive. Don't try to use, let's say, a chatbot, for instance, to make your team look like you're so efficient. If people are talking to a robot at the point in time when they're talking to a robot, they should be able to know that, okay, there's a device, that I'm not talking to a human. And then when you're transferring them, to an agent, then you should be able to make it clear to them that, okay, now we're transferring to an agent. And you have to be explicit about collecting data, especially when it comes to data protection. Collecting data, that's when you go to certain websites, they'll tell you, we use cookies. For some cases, it's clear, reject all, accept all, review. For some cases, it's just accept or review, So all those things are very important. People don't do those things because they are nice. Those are legal things you have to pay attention to as well. So, and it's important to put those things in place when implementing AI solutions. Then also, intellectual property and copyright issues, same thing. So for brands, for platforms like FreePic, they've been in the industry providing stock footages, stock images, so they already have their standard license. So when you're using, AI tools, ensure that the license, your usage is along the guidelines that governs the platform. For most of them, some of the platforms, that were not into image, production prior to this time, or image services, they had issues. Like, I think that's Stability AI. They had issues with, a lot of organizations suing them, for using their images. I think there was an issue between Stability AI and Getty Images, where some of the images Stability AI were producing had the watermark of Getty Images, and that brought a serious rift. So, but away from that, but I think we've moved past that, because such cases have not been seen in recent times, but it's more of you as the user understand that if you're using an AI image generated from a platform, it's still licensed, in accordance with that platform. So ensure you're using it in accordance with the license, that is associated with the platform. Resources online are not always free. So when you're getting resources online, when you're using resources online, ensure that you're using it along the guidelines stipulated by the platform so that you're not sued for any intellectual property or copyright infringement. Then when it comes to regulatory compliance, also important, you must, of course, know the industry-specific regulations and guidelines governing how you communicate as a brand. And when using AI, you must ensure that you comply with that as well. So you don't have to go away from your standards just because you're leveraging AI. You can't fault AI eventually for doing something that is illegal or something that is, against your standard, your industry standard codes. So you must also keep this in mind as well. And this will help you when you collaborate with marketing professionals, data specialists, and also legal experts. So it's important to put these things in place so that when leveraging it as well, you don't run into unwanted issues. So we'll just look briefly into what the future holds, basically. So one thing is predictive analysis and forecasting. So while there are brands already experimenting with this, we're going to see more of it in the future. Right now, I don't think it's where it needs to be. We're going to see AI being able to forecast future trends, being able to predict products people will need maybe in the next 4 or 5 years ahead, and brands can actually start, prepping and putting plans in place, way ahead. Brands can be more proactive with their demands and how they also even communicate with clients. They can innovate along that line. I already talked about voice search. We're going to see more opportunities along that line as well, because at the moment it's not widespread as it should be when it comes to usage, among brands. Then when it comes to visual recognition and augmented reality as well, I think that one we're going to see a lot of it. We're going to see more immersive experiences of such, where when you go to centers, you barely communicate to humans again. You have devices, recognizing maybe you as a customer, maybe with a certain tag or a certain card you have. And we're going to see more of those experiences, and it's going to increase. We're going to see it even across several industries, not just using it for marketing or brand communication. We're going to see that play a huge role in the future. Yet, so, and when it comes to what the future holds as well, practices are going to be more ethical because, countries keep passing laws to ensure that they guide this process to protect copyright, interest of individuals and data and privacy protection as well of the consumers. So these are some of the things as well we are going to see, that it's nothing to be worried about. For those of you who are worried about, so your data, will be more protected, issues with copyright reduce if you're a creator and you're worried about your rights being protected, and then also if you're a marketer, this already starts giving you insight on areas to research and actually see how you can leverage this for your marketing eventually and start building strategies around these areas. And there's still a whole lot more, but I've just listed out some of these ones, so that I give you at least an insight, or I'm able to inspire you to look into other directions. So basically, it's going to be more about innovation, personalization, and enhanced customer experiences in the future. And that's where we are going to see AI. And if you can unlock those opportunities, it can help differentiate your brand. It will give you long success, and it will increase, your competitive advantage in the marketplace. So in conclusion, I'll say integrating AI into your brand communication, is already a transformative shift from what marketing is, and we're still going to see more of it. And if you can harness the power of AI, and the collaboration it brings, you can create meaningful connection with your consumers, drive business growth, and you thrive, in this very fast-paced, competitive market. So as we navigate the future together, let's embrace the potential of AI shape the next chapter of brand communication in 2024 and beyond. So yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if anyone has any question. Okay, so if there's no question, I think that'll be all from me. So thank you for taking our time to listen to my session. So if you want to see more of my AI ads, you can check my Instagram at it's called Dave. And for this, we'll have the blog version as well to be on our Inside Futuresoft, then also my Medium as well, David Woruka. So thank you very much. So back to you, Praise, and thank you everyone for joining the session.
Hi, David. Well done, well done, well done. To me, what stood out great, one of the features of the AI you mentioned, that of Hagen, if I got the pronunciation right, the ability to use it to translate into diverse languages, that really stood out for me. Well done, David, on that launch and learn session. So in the absence of questions, we can now bring the session to an end. Please note that this video will be available on our YouTube channel. And if you have questions while watching the video, drop them in the comment section. We'll be very happy to answer your questions. Join us next time for another session, and do have a lovely day.